Hello and welcome back to the Single Malt Review. I am Tim, this is Dave, and we are here with another recent release from one of our favourite Indian distillers out there, and the favourite of a great many other judges out there too, by the look of the awards smoking off this one. We have another release from Indri, and it is their Diwali Collector's Edition 2024, which hasn't been around all that long, so this may be the first tasting you've seen of it, or it may not. You will just have to see, but it will be the best. This is a peated sherry cask, one of the very, very, very few encounters we've had with peated Indian whiskey, and it is, you can see we've had a wee pre-taste there, some really, really quite interesting stuff.
Like the Founder's Reserve we tried previously, this is also at a frankly astonishing 58.5% ABV.
Banging.
Yeah, potent. Diwali 2024 took place over the end of October to beginning of November. In English, it's often referred to as the Festival of Lights, but that doesn't really begin to do it justice. It is an amazing tale, Lord Rama's triumph over the demon king Ravana. Look it up sometime if you don't know the story. It is quite an epic, and easy to see why it's so celebrated.
Well, this will be a similarly epic tale over good whiskey's conquering of my thirst, which is ever present, can never be truly defeated, only momentarily.
So we have no
subdued.
age statement here, but that's okay because obviously Indian whiskey thrives at young ages.
Yeah, well, that's if we that would be the news if there was an age statement here, as it was with the Founder's Edition. So no age statement. That is part of the course.
Look at that colour. That is remarkable.
That has been in some extremely naughty sherry casks, and there is no doubt about it.
It manages to be dark but also luminous at the same time. But it's just a very deep, glowing amber gold.
So we have tried scant quantities of peated Indian whiskey before, and I never really thought it super duper worked. I thought the expansively fruity, tropical, sweet, ripe aspects of Indian whiskey, Indri typified them most particularly, just didn't really quite work with the drying, more savoury element of peat. This is completely different. This really is something altogether special, as we discovered when we pre-tasted this one.
Some of those other peated Indian whiskies we tried have either used imported peat or else imported peated malt, like the I think was it Amrit did the fusion.
They did do the fusion way back
Paul
then.
John? No, it was Amrit. Yeah. This one though, it is all Indian 6-row barley, but been peated, and we believe imported peat. We're not sure.
I think this is Isla peat. The sort of quality I get off the peat is somewhere between Kolila and Killoman, maybe a little bit closer to Kolila, because there is some real smoked, savoury quality. There's almost a slightly meaty quality to the smoke. It's a deeply, deeply funky whiskey. If I had been given this blind and asked what it was, my closest pick would have been Springbank Longrow, which is a very, very favourable comparison to any whiskey. There's a great many whiskies out there who would kill to be considered analogous to anything Springbank makes. Longrow, despite. So
now, there's an amazing thing. This is, as we covered, peated whiskey. It's nearly 60% ABV, but
it's very gentle.
I can take a big, long sniff of this one, and it's not giving me the vapours or the conniptions or whatever you like, which would be the case normally with an even much lower strength Isla peated whiskey. This is so
on the nose and on
so
the palate,
engaging.
even at full strength, it doesn't do you too much harm. That slight burn, which typified earlier Indri releases, they have smoothed that out in their more modern output, and so it isn't there. And this one, it really is quite gentle.
There's a hint of brine, a little touch of the ocean from the peat.
But anyway, it really is so expressive on the nose, and it's so funky and vibrant as well. The sort of the orange zest, the really ripe tropical fruit, it's there, but there's just this layer of jazz over the top of it,
and a bit of sweet spice merging with that salt.
It's really, really funky whiskey. It's totally unlike anything I associate with Indian whiskey. This is, like I say, this is in the Springbank corner.
Let's see the nosing notes. What do we have? Okay, Diwali edition. Well integrated, gentle, smoky and sherry notes. Absolutely agree. Harmoniously balanced with a bold character. Oh, this is bold, all right. Aromas of dry fruits like dates and raisins, complemented by caramel and wet, earthy undertones. Absolutely can't.
There's even a hint, with water, there's even a hint of sort of rummy banana in there. It's really, They really must have picked some really quite expressive casks in there. That doesn't specify what sherry. I would swear there's at least quite a good bit of PX in here. I'm just getting that really sumptuous, sweet, savoury, raisiny quality that you get from PX. Now that you mentioned dates, there is mega dates in here.
Juicy medjool dates.
Okay, so with a little bit of water, which I think... I thought the Founders Reserve needed really quite a lot. This one doesn't need any, but I think it benefits from a little.
I'm going to go in at full strength because I am mad. Oh, so drinkable. That's at full strength. It's not cask strength, but it might as well be. 58.5% ABV. Warms the tongue. It's gentle, smoky peat. Just an explosion of fruit and spice. Not an overwhelming cacophony, but just a blooming, like spring has sprung and the flowers are all just erupting.
It does go on such a ride across the palate, because the first impression is that extremely expansive, ripe tropical fruit that is the sort of the hallmark of Indri, the hallmark of all Indian whiskey really, but Indri particularly, and then it rapidly inflects through sort of sweet, quite significant Indian spices there. I got fenugreek off this one, which is sort of the sweet, savoury sort of a spice. If you're familiar with it,
to be, its original name.
This is fenugreek seed specifically. The leaves have a slightly more mellow quality to them, but and then the smoke really comes out, and then it really does start to emulate Springbank in a really scary way. We get this smoky driftwood, almost a slightly smoky meat kind of an aroma. It's really, really something completely different. This is a huge departure.
The peat is so well integrated, though. It's not slapped on top. It's not just an overwhelming character. It is a complement to that other palette of fruit and spice that we have already.
I absolutely love this whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether, if there is such a thing as an Indri purist out there, as a fan of the style, whether this is going to be slightly too weird for them. That's would be my only shadow of a doubt I could cast over this. I think it's too bad if it is more for me. But this is a radical departure. I wonder if they could use this as a basis for a core range peated, because I would drink more of this. Without
this is such a stunning use of a peat. It's not just a novelty or a gimmick. It is a transformative addition to whiskey's palate. Now the tasting notes mention subtly sweet, fruity and chewable characters with a hint of peat elegantly intertwined. 100% agree. Multi-character balanced with appropriate oak, tannins and spice, creating a rounded and bold palate of hints of sweetness and saltiness. That is absolutely the case.
This really is. This is so different, but so good and complete on its own. It really does link the mineral peatiness with the fruity vibrancy, and I think it does it better than a lot of Islay whiskies try to do. And I think the benefit of sherry casks certainly get you there faster, but I think the rapid aging we're seeing out of India as well has also helped that, because the whiskey might age rapidly, but the peat doesn't so much. I think it's held on to the really vibrant, that keen, youthful peat, but the spirit character is showing considerably more age and maturity to it. So we've sort of got this double hitter of quite developed, mature sherry flavours, but quite youthful, still pretty banging mineral peat that hasn't dropped off like a 15-plus-year-old Scotch example would have.
And I'm not a religiously practicing person, but I had the good fortune to commute past a Hindu temple quite often during Diwali in 2024. And yes, that heady combination of incense smoke and rich, fruity, sweet Indian pastries and desserts was the kind of a hallmark of it. It's a very a vibrantly joyous celebration, and that little combination of spice and smoke and sweetness. They've really captured for me as an outsider, like the kind of experience, the essence of that celebration.
That's one way of thinking about it.
It really does.
A whiskey with a presence of place to it, like being in a slightly smoky room. So I think we've gushed about this one enough. We should give it a proper score. I really like this one quite a lot. My only question is can this can this take it to the Drew? And I don't think it quite can. That's going to be a really, really hard top of the ladder for any whiskey to knock off for possibly some time to come. But damn it, it's close. This is a 90 for me. What do you think?
I'm going to go a little higher to 92. This is probably one of the highest peated whiskey scores I've given out, actually. It's definitely up there.
Yeah.
And this is just a smashing dram. It's got strength, it's got gentleness, it's incorporated that strong peat, but in a mild and restrained manner. It just does everything right and delivers it in spades.
Yeah, while being completely different to anything we've tried from Indri ever before. I really do think if there's enough of it floating around, this could form they'd probably put all the good stuff into this special edition, so they'd have to make it a little leaner. But yeah, I think there could be if there's an Indri peated edition from the core range in the R&D, then I am absolutely here for it. If it's anything like this, that's going to be one to watch. Anyway, Slanger, cheers to that one. I hope that was of some use to the people. Keep an eye out for all things Indri, as we are, and this has informed your habits.
Yeah. The Founders Reserve, there were 1,100 bottles of it produced, 1,100 of the 11-year-old, that's appropriate. The Diwali edition, there's not a particular number here on the amount of bottles, so there could be more of it available. So, yeah,
who can
if you're looking for some, cast a nice wide net and you're bound to snare one. And you could do a lot worse. This would be a fine addition to any whiskey lover's cabinet.
Yes, indeed. Oh, well, thank you for joining us, and Slanger.
And thank you again to Indri for 2 exceptional samples.
Delicious.